As a medical doctor, I hear so many people protest the Mediterranean diet for being too expensive. And honestly, this kind of makes me laugh because the Mediterranean diet is historically the poor person's diet of the Mediterranean region. So in this video, we're going to break down the top 4 ways that you can make the Mediterranean diet affordable for you. Hey there, I'm Dr. Anna. I'm a medical doctor. I was trained in Italy. And on this channel, you are gonna learn how to master your health with the Mediterranean diet. Okay, so let's break this down for a second. Given inflation, there is definitely a lot of stress that people are feeling to buy food in general, not to mention healthy food. So I understand that off the bat, it is just a difficult time when it comes to affording food for our families. But if you are seriously committed about taking care of your health, you're going to realize that this is not something to skimp on. Healthy food is just worth the effort, but we don't want to get out of control either. There is a way to make this very budget friendly. So what's the first way? Well, that's to include a lot of whole grains in your diet and to buy them in bulk. Now, in the grocery store, you might see things like rice by the pound or even 2-pound bags or huge containers of oats. The cool thing about whole grains is that they can last a long time on the shelf. So by buying things in bulk, you're often going to reduce the price of that individual food than if you're going to buy them in smaller containers. And manufacturers know this. When you're buying a smaller container of a food, like oats, for example, the sticker price is going to look cheaper than maybe if you're buying something in bulk. But actually, the total amount of money that you'd be spending for buying 4 boxes of oats as opposed to that one large container is definitely a lot more. So it's not terrible to do a little math sometimes in the grocery store and just figure out overall, are you spending more money on less? Another way that you can get tripped up by this is, for example, with oats. By buying those individual packets of instant oatmeal, you're often really driving up the price for yourself of including something as simple as oats in your diet. Not to mention, a lot of those instant oatmeal packets are loaded with added sugar. So you just want to watch out that that's not the only way you're eating oats in your diet. That can be saved for a special treat or when you're traveling, for example. Now, the second way to keep the Mediterranean diet on a budget is to consider the oils that you're using. Now, the Mediterranean diet is, of course, really famous for including lots of olive oil. And when it comes to buying olive oil in the grocery store, you will probably see like 20 different brands, and they might really range in price. The truth is, I am not one of those people who is going to tell you that you have to buy everything organic because I recognize that's just not possible for a lot of folks. So I would say when it comes to olive oil, organic is not the most necessary thing. Instead, what you want to make sure is that the olive oil you're buying is extra virgin olive oil that's going to have the highest density of nutrition. Plus, it's really important to buy your olive oil in a dark bottle. The most sad thing is when somebody is going to spend money on a food or a product that's not actually giving them a lot of benefit. Now, the other thing to consider is the amount of oil that we're using in our diet overall. So even if the sticker price on a bottle of olive oil is $15 or $16, that might feel really overwhelming, but I'm here to tell you that if you're just cooking for yourself or maybe one other person, a bottle of olive oil might be able to last you an entire month. Consider how much oil you're using in your cooking or overall in your diet, and you can probably stretch that out way further and still meet all your nutritional needs. But what if olive oil is not the only oil you want to include? Well, another popular oil that a lot of people reach for is avocado oil, but I would say that that's even more expensive than olive oil. What might surprise a lot of you is that canola oil is actually a very healthful oil for our bodies. It is one of the richest sources of omega-3 fatty acids in our diet overall, and canola oil is not expensive at all. I think most of us could afford it, if not everyone. Now, what's the third way that you can make the Mediterranean diet affordable for yourself? Well, that's to include in your vegetable assortment things like canned vegetables or even frozen. This is something that I don't know why more people are not doing. It is one of the best ways to buy produce and to not have to worry about it going bad. And that can actually really help out budget-wise because some people are relying on things like food stamps, and that money might only come to us once a month. So if we're stocking up and buying things in bulk or when they go on sale, that is so much easier to do with a food that's not going to go bad. If you're buying in bulk fresh broccoli, well, you probably only have up to a week to actually consume all of that. That's not always easy for everyone to do. The other trick you can do is if you see a food that goes on sale and it's a whole form vegetable, you could always freeze it yourself. You could chop that up, put it in a Ziploc bag, and stick it in the freezer. That food would be ready to heat up anytime. It is always so sad to see people trying to be healthy and buying a lot of vegetables, but then they don't consume them in time and that food ends up going into the trash can. Overall, there's nothing more wasteful for our wallet than buying something that we don't actually use. And food waste in and of itself is kind of a big problem. Now, if this video is working for you so far, and I really hope that it is, please subscribe to this channel because your subscription really helps get this information out to more people who need to know this stuff. Now, what's the fourth way that you can make the Mediterranean diet really affordable for yourself? Well, that's including a lot of plant-based protein sources in your diet overall. And plant-based protein sources like beans and lentils are both some of the cheapest foods that you could buy at the grocery store and some of the healthiest. The cool thing about beans and lentils is that you can buy them in dried form or in canned form, and they can last in your pantry shelf for a really long time. And these are some great staples to have in your pantry because if you start running out of food before you can go to the grocery store, then you know you always have some healthy sources of protein available to you. But it doesn't only need to be beans or lentils. You can also include canned fish in your healthy Mediterranean diet, and this is also going to be really shelf stable. Another way to include healthy proteins that are a bit more affordable is to buy fish from frozen rather than fresh. Usually you're able to do this by buying it in bulk, and it just really can be a big money saver. And then considering the overall Mediterranean diet approach to eating, red meat is recommended to be eaten less often, about once a week or even less than that. And this can actually be really helpful for saving money because red meat is some of the most expensive food to buy. So by saving that beef, veal, pork, or lamb for just special occasions, we're probably helping out both our bodies and our budget. Now, all of these points together is really just a starting point for how to consider saving money on the Mediterranean diet. And there's a lot more that you could probably do to do this effectively. But after you start implementing some of these tactics, you're going to get better at knowing what foods you like to eat and how quickly you go through certain foods in your kitchen. But just to be clear that everyone understands this, the best foods for your body are not necessarily the most expensive. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Now, I want you to comment and share below with us, what budget-friendly hacks do you use for yourself and your family? I'm sure you guys have so many amazing ideas. Please share below with our community so that everybody can reap the benefits. And at this point, you're probably ready to throw some of these things together into meal ideas for how you can save money for an entire meal. Well, I have my complete guide up here for example meals for the Mediterranean diet. Everything from breakfast, lunch, dinner, all the way through snacks and desserts. Check out that video and I'll see you in there.